So when we solve these next ones, the first thing we have to determine is it a 45-40-90 triangle, or is it a 30-60-90 triangle? And then once we figured out what kind of triangle it is, we can use these properties. Okay, these special properties. So like the first one, let me leave that up there because the first one is a 30-60-90 triangle. If you look at it, there's 60. That right away tells us it's a 30-60-90 triangle. And then I'm going to use these two equations to figure out A and B. So the first equation says, I'm going to move that to the side, the hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg. And then the second equation says the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. Okay, so now we're going to go through to our triangle diagram and figure out what's the hypotenuse, what's the short leg, what's the long leg. Hypotenuse is always easy to figure out. That's just the side across the 90-degree angle. So here we have A. The short leg, again, that one is the side that's opposite the 30-degree angle. So this one is the short leg, 3/2. And then the long leg, well, the long leg is going to be the one that's left over. Or you can say it's the one across the 60-degree angle. I'm not going to put a line in there because then it's going to get more cluttered. But the long leg is B. And then I'm going to simplify these two sides. It's pretty straightforward. You have a 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. Those cancel. You're left with A equals 3. Here, think of this as the numerator and the denominator. In the numerator, you have 3 square root of 3. In the denominator, you have 2. And that's it. Okay. I'm going to skip 8 for right now and jump down to 9. Because 8 is another 30-60-90 triangle, I'm going to show you the 45-90 triangle. So there's the properties for the 45-45-90 triangle. And remember, I know it's 45-45-90 because that guy there is 45 degrees. So this one has to be 45 degrees. And that one, of course, is 90. So these are the two properties. Now this one, I don't necessarily, it's not an equation I'm going to solve. But it does give us one of the solutions. It says the legs are equal. And then for the other equation, I am going to write that equation down and substitute into. So the equation is the hypotenuse is equal to leg times the square root of 2. This is more of a statement. It's not necessarily an equation that you want to solve. So then let's go through and say, okay, let's figure out the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across the 90-degree angle. That's the hypotenuse. And then the legs, well, the two things that are left over are the legs. Okay? And then this is where this statement comes into play. The legs are equal, so I know U equals V. Okay, that doesn't give me much information yet. So let's use this other equation. So the hypotenuse is 2, so I'm going to put 2 here. The legs are U and V. I can just choose one of them. It doesn't matter which one you choose. So I have U times the square root of 2. So now divide both sides by the square root of 2. That way we have U by itself. And then you have the square root of 2 in the bottom. Think I need to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. And then you have on top you have 2 square root of 2, and then on the bottom you have 2. Cancel these, and then that's what you're left with. U equals square root of 2. And remember, U and V, those are the legs, and the legs are equal. So guess what V equals? The square root of 2. And again, that's how you use this. The two legs are equal. That's the square root of 2, that's going to be the square root of 2. Okay. So now that's one of the 30-60-90. That's a 45-45-90. So I'm going to come over here to number 8 and do number 8 with you guys. So again, because I know it's a 30-60-90 triangle, because that's 60, I'm going to write down the two equations for the properties of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. The hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg, and the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Figure out what the hypotenuse is. The hypotenuse is the square root of 5. Figure out what the short leg is. Short leg is V. And then the long leg is U, because it's across the 60. Simplify for V here, divided by 2, divided by 2. V equals square root of 5 over 2. I can leave this like this. There's no square roots in the bottom, and you cannot break this guy down. Take this and plug it in over here. U equals V, which is the square root of 5 over 2, we just figured that out, times the square root of 3. Okay. This looks like it's a mess, but it's actually pretty simple to solve. These two are square roots. I can go ahead and multiply them, and then you have the 2 in the bottom. And again, it's similar to this one. As long as there's no square roots in the denominator, we're okay. And as long as we can't simplify that square root on the numerator, we're good. That's done. We're finished with those two. Okay, so let's move down to number 10. If you look at number 10 is also a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I'm going to start with the two equations. The hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg, and the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Figure out what the hypotenuse and the short leg and everything is. Let's see, here's 30. So that's the hypotenuse. 18. The short leg is across 30, which is y. And then the long leg is across 60, which is x. So I put everything into my equations. I can solve for this one easily. 2 times y, we'll divide by 2, divide by 2. Y equals 9, easy. And then I just figured out y equals 9, so I can put the 9 in front. And that's it. Can't do anything else with this one. Pause it.